I might have to rewatch this film purely to see what Natalie Portman does more of, speak or smoke. Hello Fanatics! This is the Film Fanatic Review bringing you Jackie with Natalie Portman, directed by Pablo Larrain. First, I'll tell you my initial thoughts and what the movie is about. Then I'll move on to the spoiler-free likes and dislikes. I'll finish up with my spoiler-heavy thoughts on the film and our final word. Overall, I was very conflicted about this film. I mean, I went into it thinking it was going to be the traditional biopic, but it ended up being a very intimate character study of Mrs. Kennedy. There are some good and some bad things about it, so let's talk about them. So Jackie is the story of Jackie Kennedy's recount of the events during and after her husband's assassination, told through an interview. There were a few things I liked about this film. For starters, as with any good character study, the performances were above average. I mean, we have John Hurt, who's delightful. We have Peter Sarsgaard, who plays a good Bobby Kennedy, but it's Natalie Portman who takes the spotlight in this film. I think she'll probably get an Oscar nomination for it, although I'm not quite set on her winning just yet. Aside from a captivating smile, she bears little resemblance to the former First Lady, but she manages to play her perfectly, from the accent to the mannerisms. The score is divine, giving the perfect ambiance of a dark, tortured, and tragic story. Love the use of the string instruments. The biggest thing was Larrain's eye for detail in this film. I mean, it feels like you're picking up a looking glass and peering directly into the 60s. From the sets to the costumes, everything was immaculate. But there were a few more things I disliked about it. I found the story became muddled with some odd structuring choices. That and the cliched interview gave a very Lifetime movie vibe. It had a very lackluster ending, coupled with dull cinematography choices, awkwardly long shots, and uneven audio mixing. I'll dive into those in a bit. And that's where I'll end my spoiler-free review of this film. If you want to see my final word or rating of this film, pause and click the link in the description, because now it's time to get into spoilers. So I found that the cliched interview trope that they used didn't work well, and that the flashback scenes actually overpowered the overall story, so it felt a little disjointed. What I think they could have done to improve this is maybe add some narration over the flashback sequences to show which story was the more dominating one in the overall arc of the film. I mean, there are some awkwardly long and silent shots in her flashbacks. Yes, I know it's for dramatic and emotional effect, but it still felt forced. For instance, when Jackie's going through her wardrobe and changing in and out of clothes when she's finally back at the White House, that is done in absolute silence. And I feel like her adding narration over top of that would have added to the emotional impact on the viewer. The ending also drags on for what seems like ages as they try to tie up every loose end. Yes, the stories are interwoven, but that doesn't mean that all of them need their little tiny nice bow ties tied. I mean, the story with Lady Bird Johnson redecorating the White House when Mrs. Kennedy's leaving happens a little too late in the film. That and the fact that the JFK funeral or when the writer leaves feels like also good times to end the film, but they just keep going. Seems like they didn't know exactly how they wanted to end this film. And that also confused me. I mean, the overall timeline, particularly the parts with the priest and the writer. I mean, I suspected that the priest was giving her advice and guidance post-funeral, but pre-interview. And that was the sort of nudge through the door that she needed to talk to the press. But instead, we see her talking to the priest later, and eventually the closure of the film is where she decides that she wants to have her dead children buried with their father. And so that means that she talked to the priest after the interview. But it seems confusing because the advice that he gives her seems more imperative to the fact that she decided to have the interview in the first place. So it makes the structuring of the film a little bit odd. The priest scenes with John Hurt and Natalie Portman are by far and away the best in this film. The message he brings, mixed with his comical wit, helps bring this movie up in its dragging narrative. Side note, did anyone else find when they closed their eyes, and yes, I know you all closed your eyes, that Padme's voice slowly seeped through? Aside from the story issues, I found this film to be very visually bland. Yes, we had some great historic detail, but that doesn't make up for unimaginative cinematography. Every single scene felt like it was just centered on the characters, and everything was forced and documentary style. And that made this 90-minute movie feel even longer. And with the thoughts heard, here's my final word. Jackie is an intimately dull film about the former First Lady post-assassination. It's a performance spotlight for both Natalie Portman and Peter Sarsgaard, but aside from that, the overall story drags towards a very slow end. I give this film 3.5 stars for the film enthusiast, and a meager 2 for the casual moviegoer. Thanks everybody for watching my review. Are you planning to watch Jackie? Or if you've already seen it, do you have something to add? What did you think of Natalie Portman's performance as the former First Lady? Let me know in the comments below. This has been the Film Fanatic Review. If you liked this video and you want to see more, hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. Check out our latest Fanatic 5 video, where we discuss the best Jake Gyllenhaal performances. Don't forget to follow us on our social media. We post new videos every Tuesday and Friday. Until next time, Fanatics, keep it real.